person. Like, now that my brothers came home, we're so close. We have so many things in common. I mean, we just went to the mall the other day and had a blast. I mean, we ate Panda Express, and I'm telling you, I've never had so much fun with somebody. And honestly, I wish I would have had that when I was younger, because if I would have had that when I was younger, we would be probably 10 times closer. Because I don't have that with my other brothers. Because, like, they don't have similarities in me. So, I mean, what the state kind of messed me up, too. I mean, I could have had more support at my sporting events or more support in my school. But, I mean, he's home now, and he supports me more than anything. And I kind of really enjoy that. So...
Mary. I'm going to bring Mary up. She's ready for Lieutenant Governor for 2016.
Thank you.
But she would like to have a few words.
Hi, I'm Mary Carol Bauer. I'm here today to support these mothers, these children that have been wrongfully taken from their homes. I'm also here to let you know that I care about the people in general, the veterans. I also care about families, about children's rights, parents' rights. And I'm here to say that today so that everybody hears it. We need to care for each other. If we live in a careless society, if Missouri turns that way and turns their heart away from the people, then we will have a real big problem, bigger than it is now, because people become upset and angry. And the biggest problem is taking someone else's child that has done nothing wrong, does not deserve to have their child removed from their home. My grandbaby was living in my home with me up until May 9th, 2014, when the police came in with a CPS worker hiding behind the wall, and they took my grandbaby out of her playpen. This is a precious baby that had never been around strangers. She was loved, cared for. She was a happy, happy child. The first time we saw her was 13 days after they took her. Traumatized, couldn't even hold her head up. Then the next time we saw her, her mouth was busted. They said she fell on her face in foster care. She's had her mouth cut in foster care. She's had pink eye 3 times. She's had a 90-minute seizure. They didn't call the ambulance until the mother came back home. We have complaints. We have complaints about the foster care system. We have complaints about foster care in general when there is no oversight. I was a former child welfare chairman for 2 terms, elected in Texas by the people. I would never allow this to go on and known about it. Somebody has to have oversight. We need a blue ribbon committee of the public to oversee this foster care system or demolish it. I want you all to know that I am running for office, but my office running is due to what's happened to my granddaughter, to us, and to my daughter who's been harmed by it. There was no grounds for them to take the baby. Recently, as of yesterday, a case was won in another state where the grandmother and the daughter and the grandchild lived in the same house, and they had taken the grandchild out of that house. The court ruled they had to give the baby back. They could not go into somebody's house and take it because somebody is disabled in that house. I agree with that decision. I think anybody in their right minds would agree with that decision. The psychological reports and the units where they're doing these psychologicals, I think we need to say equal time for everyone. Anybody that's involved with it. That means the police need their psychologicals like they used to get. I think that the psychologists need their psychologicals like they used to get. And I think the legislation needs to consider these laws for children that are being proposed in front of them. I think they need to look at them really hard, because if they don't, it causes shame. And Missouri's a great state. Missouri has a lot of good people. If the good people would come forward and stand up in their churches and say, no more, we need to know if there was really abuse in this family. We need to see. We need to know. Bring that child to that first hearing. Bring that child to that first meeting so we can see if there's anything wrong with that child. Make the judges, make your local judges see the children. They need to know, because if that children runs home to that parent or runs in the courtroom to that parent or grandparent, then you will know that that child has not been harmed. That's how we used to do it in the old days. Let's go back and do what's right for the people. Let's do what's right for all the people. I thank you for listening.
Sherry, you want to come back up here? She would like to say something else.
In the state of Missouri, there's a system within the Division of Family Services, Children's Services, Alphabet Soup. They call these people guardian ad litems. And guardian ad litems, I'm from the 26th Judicial District, which is around Lake of the Ozarks, and encompasses 5 counties. And there, the guardian ad litems, we have rules, regulations, we have federal statutes under the Child Abuse Prevention Treatment Act, and there are rules and regulations that these guardian ad litems, attorneys, that they appoint, and they call what their job is to do is to represent the best interests of the children. These attorneys are paid, and they're paid very well. However, in the 26th district, and the district where Mary just spoke from, and several other districts, judicial districts within the state of Missouri, these attorneys have been running, along with the judges, from what I call, in my own opinion, a fraud system. And they are not even qualified. They don't have training. The Missouri Supreme Court has rules in place. They don't follow those. The judges have oaths of office. These attorneys are officers of the courts. These attorneys, when they're appointed as guardian ad litems, are judicial arms of the court. And they have brought fraud upon my son and my grandchildren. None of these people were ever had their training, the people that were involved in this case. There was made-up lists, and when we began to expose the corruption by recordings, 4-year investigation into this corruption, and when we began to expose that in the public, the judges got together and wrote an administrative order that we could no longer record in the county-owned building because the recordings were being aired with these lists that were not adequate. The list didn't even have lists for the years that they were appointing their buddies. One attorney in my son's case that was appointed a guardian ad litem said in court, he did it on purpose. He didn't do his training. He didn't do it. He did it on purpose. And the Judge Aaron Coppin in the 26th district, he finally, after 1.5 years, once my son went pro se, got him kicked out of the case for bringing fraud upon the court, fraud upon my grandchildren, fraud upon my son. The judge told him to submit a bill for his time of service. He submitted a bill for $15,000. And he was a fraud. That's part of the RICO case. And then they appointed more guardian ad litems. And then they made up new lists. And when we started sunshining, requesting lists all over the state of Missouri, these attorneys that are being appointed by the judges are not trained. They don't even follow the federal bare minimum. So that's all part of that. So everyone needs to make sure that they go to their circuit clerk's office, make sure that they get the list, make sure they check their local court rules, make sure that the good old boy buddy system stops. These lawyers, these judges, they need to be held accountable. There is no immunity. When you bring fraud upon the people and you steal their children, there is no immunity. And we will hold you accountable.
Thank you, Sherry. I do believe I have another speaker, Linda Callahan, up to the podium. Give her a big hand applause.
Hi. I am so not anonymous. We all know why we're here today. And what I would really like for us to do is to reach out to the people that are not us. This gentleman right here is welcomed himself, and I've welcomed him to our event, and he will be posting some things as well. What I would like to do is for people like him and anyone else that can hear this to educate the public. Educate the public. If Division of Family Services is so great, why do we not know that? Why do we not hear that? Where are they in the public? We all know Make-A-Wish Foundation, right? All about kids, helping kids. They want kids to do better and get more and get their wishes to come true. DFS remains silent and is actually unspoken of except by victims. Why is that? Child Protective Services, an automatic God-given name, right? We all know that any organization named Child Protective Services must be godlike. Must be. It is not. We should demand they change that name, actually, because we all know children are far more protected from the home they came from than the home they placed them into.
Amen.
We have all got a chance to listen to Mike speak today. Michael, you are a blessing. We could probably have thousands of Michaels get up and speak. So where are the ones that are successful? Where are all of the successes from these foster families? Where are all of their stories of success and love and wealth they gathered or something they learned they never would have in their own family? Where are all these stories? They don't exist. They don't exist. And the other thing that we want to tell people about is the money incentive. We never hear about Make-A-Wish Foundation getting money from anywhere, do we? We never hear about any incentives for the Make-A-Wish Foundation to see the child all the way through to happiness. But we do in Child Protective Services. They take these children, these workers, take these children and receive a bonus to see that child all the way through to being placed in a stranger's family. We all know the statistics. More children are harmed when they're placed in foster care than they are when they remain in the home. The system is set up where they are paid to take children. That needs a 100% reversal. But even with that, I think the number one problem that we're facing is accountability. The immunity that these people get to exercise on a daily basis is a direct slap in the face of every one of us sitting here. They actually expect us to believe, and I really don't care what your educational level is, they actually expect us to believe that what they have done to your child and my child was in the best interest of that child. Either we are very, very, very stupid, or they are. And so far, I think it's us. We are not demanding enough of our courts and the people who go into these courtrooms every single day that know that immunity shouldn't be granted to these workers that are doing this. Why do they need immunity? Make-A-Wish Foundation doesn't have immunity. Why does DFS have immunity? Because they need it. Because they know what they are doing is a lie. 80% of the cases in the children that they take are lies or based on a lie. So how does this happen? How does anything bad happen in our country? What's the saying? Follow the money. So I think my main goal today would be to reach out to everybody that's in the public, and anytime you hear the name foster care, think of money, not children. Anytime you hear the word DFS or Child Protective Services, think of money, because that's what they're doing. They're not thinking of children. My grandchild was removed because of a teaspoon of white corn syrup. That never happened, folks. Never. Never. But they said it did. They said, the CPS worker paid to take my child, claimed to a judge that I fed my little 3-month-old grandbaby a teaspoon of white syrup. Well, first thing, we're not stupid, even if I gave him a whole bottle. That is no reason to take a child from a complete bloodline. There's me, my brother, all of us. So why? Next question. Money. Money. We got to stop the money incentive. It's the money. Thanks.
Thank you, Linda. Now, we've heard all these stories, and the biggest question is, why am I here? I don't really talk about myself, and it's hard. Most of the time I start to cry, I break down, because this is the hardest thing in the world you can ever deal with, is losing a child. Honestly, I think it's worse than death, because at least I can accept